So I just thought I'd talk a little bit about what led me going and being my own attorney and being pro per. So when I was 18 years old, I caught a case by Officer Rodriguez and Officer Sanchez, possession and sales of marijuana. They caught me with some weed in the scale, and that was my first initial contact with these officers. And little did I know this was going to be the start of many. It ultimately what changes my life. So I go to jail for that. I bail out. Case dismissed. I go to jail shortly a time after that for a robbery, what they call it. And in this robbery, they allege that a lady got her chain snatched. So I had remembered that two of my quote unquote homeboys had told me about when they got away from undercover officers after they tried to rob somebody. I remember them telling me that story. So I go to jail, and lo and behold, this is the robbery that they talking about, where they saying my homeboy snatched a chain, ran to the car with my other homeboy. An undercover officer seen this, and he get in the car with my other homeboy, and they drive off, and they lose the undercover officer that seen this. And so the officer get on the stand. They never called the lady witness to the stand. The officer lady get on the stand and says that officer man get on the stand and says that he seen me run to the car. Me not knowing the law, me not understanding, me not knowing I ain't gonna snitch, I took the first deal that came to me. After I tried to explain to him it wasn't me, but I mean, how can you tell him? Well, whatever. So they framed me for the robbery. So I go to jail after that. Mind you, that was my homeboy's robbery. I didn't tell my homeboy because he was the one who snatched the chain. And so I go to jail again after that, shortly after that, for probation violations, couple probation violations. One time they ran in my house, my grandmother's house, and found some old bullets and old holster. It's like some old shit that told them like that was my grandfather's shit. Like that's how old that shit is. Like it was really, really old. And it was like a cowboy, like all leather, handmade leather holster with the detective, like, it was old school cowboy like type thing. So anyway, what ended up happening was I go to jail after that. It's like short stints, I'm in and out of jail. I go to jail after that again for my same homeboy that robbery was. We was in the car with two girls. Back up. We get shot at one day. In my car. My car can't drive. So what I do is I park the car on my homeboy's house. I call this girl, tell her I need her car. We get in her car. I got her car all day, all night. We get shot at again in her car. Now the next day, she come get her car back, and I tell her I need her to follow me to the rental car place dropped his car off. So as I go to tow the car over there, the police pull up. Rodriguez pulls up, and he tells me that they came for me, basically. They put the gun, my quote unquote homeboy had just put the gun in my backpack, and the gun was in the car. And as I got in the car to leave, after talking to the tow man, the police pulls up, and the gun is in my backpack. You know, and so again, I'm taking the case for him, and so I tell him, I'm like, dude, I got a strike, dude. You don't have no record, dude. You need to go sit down for this little pistol, man. Make a long story short, his mom was an informant. His mom was an informant on a murder case involving some other homeboys of mine. And so it was some politic with the police not wanting to take this young fella to jail, you know what I mean? And so what happens is I go to jail, I get a public defender by the name of Gia Bosley from the public defender's office. And I tell Gia Bosley the script. I look Gia Bosley up, see she went to Howard, beautiful black sister. And I'm thinking this should be all right. She should help me. I bail out of jail on that case. End up going back to jail for possession and sales of marijuana. I just had a lot of weed on me. At that point, I wasn't selling weed. I just had a lot of weed on me, and they just charged me for it or whatever. So they took me to jail, revoked my bail, because I had the other case. I sat in jail for a few months, trying to fight the case and get the best deal I can get. And what happened was, I was having some discrepancies about me trying to prove the fact that his mom was an informant. And I'm trying to tell Gia Bosley to do her job, and she's not really understanding me. So we had some discrepancies, and I remember they were trying to schedule a court date like on the 8th of April. My birthday's on the 9th. And they tried to schedule a birthday on the 8th, the date on the 8th. And I told them that was the store day, and that the next day was the 9th was my birthday. And so I didn't want to go to court on either one of those days. And so we can push to the following week. I said it respectfully, with all due respect, Your Honor. You know, I initially told the court I don't want to come on Wednesday to court because that's the store day in there, and I need my canteen. Take it very seriously. You know, I take my hygiene very seriously. I take eating my food very seriously that I want to eat, and I want to be there to get my food. And let the record reflect that that is a store day in the facility that I'm in, and so I want to possibly not have that date, because we all have a right to choose our court dates, if you don't know. And so I told them that, and basically we agreed to the following week. Well, if you've been through the L.A County Jail system, you know that they got something called a dry run. And on that dry run, what happens is you go to court for no reason. It's called a dry run, is what we call it, a dry run. And you go to court for no reason. And they basically just put you on a bus ride to get paid, to fill up the bus, to get paid that day. Now, it's conspiracy as to who pushed you on these dry runs sometime. But I knew that day. I knew that morning they woke me up. And when they woke me up for court, I knew it was sinister. It was on my birthday. It was sinister. And I knew, because I went against that date, and because I put it on record, and because I pressed the line the way I pressed it, because I wasn't going for what they wanted me to go for, and because I was vocal, that they was punishing me on my birthday. So, I went to court. Said what's up to the homies. Did my regular. It's my birthday. Let everybody know I was on the dry run. I knew it. I knew they wasn't gonna call me to the courtroom or none of that. And I knew I had something boiling. Didn't say nothing on the phone about what I was gonna do at my next court date. I just told everybody on the phone, they see me on the dry one on my birthday. I ain't tripping because I seen X, Y, and Z homies, so I ain't tripping. Just played it off. Made the best out of it, right? Went back to court, say that following Monday on the 12th or whatever it was. I had talked to some old dude from Blackstone, Chicago. His name was Chicago. You know, when you in L.A. County Jail, wherever you from, you're gonna be named by it. If you're from Cuban, if you're Cuban, your name is Cuba. If you're from New York, your name is New York. If you're Jamaican, your name is Jamaica. You understand what I'm saying? If you ride with us, but you are other, or whatever it is, or whatever, that's your name. So Chicago told me, he said, Young Stone, go pro per on him. You smart. You got it. This is a big case, Stone. Go pro per on him. And so he gave me up for about 2 days. I never forget, he taught me how to break down the county soap with the Irish Spring soap and break it all down and melt it with the hot water in the cereal bowl and make a big old cereal block. It'll last you a whole month. Oh! Anyway. I go to court and I told the judge, I didn't know who the judge was at the time, mind you. I tell that judge, I said, Your Honor, with all due respect, y'all sent me here on a dry run. And I don't feel that I'm being represented correctly. And for that reason, I wish to exercise my Fifth Amendment right to self-representation. And the courtroom was stunned. They tried to talk me out of it. Oh yeah, but I wasn't going for it. I knew that was a decision that I was gonna make. And I knew I was making it that day for a shift of energy in that courtroom. And to let them know that I was smarter and I wasn't the regular black kid that was walking up in there letting them just go with the flow. I wasn't gonna let them go with the flow. I got the pro per and didn't know a thing about the law. They put me on top of a paisa dude. And if it wasn't for me being on top of this paisa dude, I wouldn't have stayed there. I learned so much from this paisa. It's ridiculous. Not just about law, but about life. What this paisa was in there for, not in a million years would you think that he would be in there for that. But that's another story that I'll tell later. So yeah, I get the pro per. I don't know nothing. Moving to my cell, I don't know nothing. I don't know nothing about the law library. I don't know nothing about right emotions. I don't know nothing about nothing. I don't know nothing. I don't know nothing. I don't know nothing. But all I knew was this was the journey that I was taking. I was gonna make some good out of it, and I was gonna put my all into it because I wasn't going to prison for some years behind that gun that really wasn't mine. I was tired of taking his cases, and I was tired of taking these cases, and I'm tired of Rodriguez's name being on all the cases, and I'm tired of the whole system. I knew at that point that that was gonna be pretty much my last time in jail. You know. But the story is to be continued. It gets spicy. It gets rocky. You know. I'm gonna stop right there, but I'm gonna break down pretty much my everyday, every story that I got, everybody that I encountered. I'm about to break it all down to you, who they was, what part they played in my journey in the pro per module. I'm gonna break down to you the program in there. I'm gonna break down to you the rights we have. I'm gonna break down to you the rights we fought for and rights we won while I was in there. I'm gonna break down to you the officers that I later ran into, where Gia Bosley is now. I'm gonna break down to you about me participating in Ramadan while I was in pro per. The blessings that came out of that. I'm gonna break it down to you about when I left pro per and how they still play courtroom games with me all the way from the days I took that I was to leave out of their facility. Put it that way. I'm gonna break it all down to you, and it's gonna get wild.